Silence?
It's Experienced Roofers under what it's Aryan Enterprises DPA Experienced Roofers.
Experienced Roofers. Aryan Enterprises?
Yes.
Like ARYAN?
Yes.
Okay. It's an interesting name for a business. What's the story behind that? What's the story behind the name?
It's my husband's motto.
It's a story as common as obese people in America. A man promises his wife to provide her with a comfortable home. Only in this case, instead of working a job, taking out a mortgage and paying for it, he instead scouts out homes in which the resident is a single elderly person, kills the man, and moves in with his lovely wife. You can imagine this isn't what the wife wanted when she said she wanted to live in a nice house. But you'd be wrong, because she was in on it. And when the gardener that this couple was unaware of shows up to the residence for his weekly work, he stumbles upon his ex-employer, the legitimate owner of this house, Stephen Morphus, hanging lifeless in the tool shed. The police are called and they bring the conniving couple down to the police department. The husband and wife are separated and interrogated. This was essentially the Cliff Notes story of this case. For a more in-depth description, see the video below in the description section, in which we focus on the husband. For now, our focus is on the wife. Let's see what she has to say when the police ask her what she's doing living in a house that has a corpse in its yard. But first, a moment of silence for Stephen Morphus, a man who had just retired and simply wanted to live out his final years peacefully.
Yeah, Lorena, your coffee's right there. Trying not to do any Jet Li moves and throw it in my face or anything. So, Lorena, we just made small talk on the way over here. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, because we did this before, just right when you were taken into custody, I'm just going to read your rights again because we are in a police station, okay, because you're not free to leave at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that formality out of the way. And then at that point, we can have a conversation, tell you what's going on, and if you have questions, that'd be the time to ask at that point as well, yeah? All right.
And, police station, we got cameras everywhere, it's being recorded, do you understand that?
Yes.
And is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. All right. So, Lorena, you have the right to remain silent. Okay? Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right at this time to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you are being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before a question if you wish. If you decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements, you can do that as well, okay? Do you understand the rights I've just explained to you?
Yes.
Okay, with these rights in mind, you want to talk with us at this point? And if you have questions, that'll be the time to ask at that point as well?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, all right. And so again, you are aware that this is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. So, Lorena, we're here to have a conversation. So you do recall a conversation that you and I had on Friday when I called you, okay?
Yes.
And I told you what I was investigating, what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, okay. And this has to do with Stephen.
Okay. I figured it's King County and it's
Yeah. So, and you told me at the time that you guys had been over to his house, right? Recently?
Yeah, I have been there.
Okay, tell me about that. Tell me about how you guys, or how he came into your life and how that happened.
He came into my life just the way any other person comes into my life through my husband's work.
Okay. And did he?
I'm told
Yeah.
we have a job coming up and I'm supposed to be taking over half of the business. So I've been going out on bids and talking with customers because that's what I'm going to be doing.
Okay. And tell me about your business. What kind of business is it?
We do a lot of roofing, pressure washing. Mostly it is general building.
Okay.
Sometimes he does other things. He does cleanups.
He being Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what is the name of your business?
It's Experienced Roofers under it's Aryan Enterprises DPA Experienced Roofers.
Experienced Roofers. Aryan Enterprises?
Yes.
Like ARYAN?
Yes.
Okay. It's an interesting name for a business. What's the story behind that? What's the story behind the name?
It's my husband's motto.
Is it? In terms of what? What do you mean?
He's proud of who he is.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Yeah.
He's proud of where he came from,
Yeah.
his ancestors.
Yeah. So, had you guys done any work for Stephen?
I have not yet done any work for Stephen at that point.
Okay. All right. So, how long? So did Stephen contact your company, or did you guys?
I'm not exactly sure how all that worked out.
Okay. So, just speaking from your own knowledge, what is your understanding of how you guys? Because you told me Friday that you guys had been to his house.
Yeah,
When was that?
I want to say it was Tuesday.
Okay. Do you remember what time?
It was in the evening.
We'll just a little calendar help you.
No, my days run together.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what day today is.
Okay. All right. You remember what time? Was it daytime or nighttime when you guys went there?
It was evening turning into night.
Evening turned into night. So
Yeah.
around what time would you say that you were there?
8 or so.
8 or so? Okay. And had you guys been contacted by Stephen to come to his place, or what was your understanding of how you guys?
My
ended up there?
understanding was that we were contacted, and Jeremy went out there initially, and while he was out there, other things came into light to work on, and he was like, "Oh, well,
Okay.
my wife can do that."
I see. So what were you guys initially called out to do, or assess?
I would
or
assume
whatever?
initially it was the pressure wash.
The pressure wash.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to kind of clean up.
And what were you supposed to clean up?
Well, for me, I was gonna work inside.
Okay. And do you remember what you were supposed to do or take care of?
I was
What
just
your
gonna
job
help
was
him
gonna be.
clean everything up, dust everything off, because it was really dusty in there.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mess.
Okay. So from what you know, Jeremy was contacted by Stephen to come out and give an assessment and
Yeah.
give a, okay.
That's how
Did you
we
guys give him a
discovered.
quote for any work at that point, or was there any?
At that point, I'm not typically part of money discussions
Okay.
at this point. Sometimes I am, most of the time I'm not.
All right. So you got out there around 7 o'clock, and then do you remember what time you
Around
left?
8. I
7 or 8?
don't know. I think I was home around 10-ish.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you told me Friday. So probably out there for a couple of hours.
I'm honestly, by like 9, 10 o'clock, I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. You got kids, 9 to 2. I get that.
By 9, 10 o'clock, the girls are in bed. I picked up the house.
Right.
I'm Huluing it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing left.
So Lorena, walk me through. That particular time, how did you guys get out there? How did you guys get to Stephen's house?
Jeremy came and picked me up.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of vehicle he was in when he picked you up?
I believe we took the white truck.
The white truck. Okay. And were you at home prior to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he
Most
could.
of the time I'm at home unless I have other things going on, but I'm typically home. If I have other things going on, I'm typically home by like 5
That's
because
good.
Sheila gets off of swimming at 5.
Okay. Are you home most of the day? Is that kind of your schedule, your routine?
Yeah,
All right.
unless I have.
Because you mentioned you do homeschooling for your kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I do the homeschooling.
Sheila's 16, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you have another child?
Well, Brianna's not technically ours.
Okay. Tell me about that. Who's Brianna?
Brianna came to us because some things have happened to her, and she reported it, but nobody believes her.
How old is she?
She's 17.
Okay.
She just turned 17. She is working on, it's her lawyer to become emancipated from the state.
So is she a foster child?
Yes.
Is it a state-sponsored foster program, or is it
She's
just?
not our
She's
foster
just getting
child.
with you guys until she
She's
gets.
not our foster child.
Okay,
Her lawyer does know where she is.
okay.
Everyone knows where she
All
is.
right.
It's just not,
It's just not official.
yeah.
So biologically, Sheila is your only child
No, I have 3 others, but
Yeah.
Sheila's my only child that lives with us.
that lives with you, okay? And are there any other children that live with you guys besides Sheila and Brianna?
No.
Okay, all right. So going back to last week, so you were home, and you're pretty certain it was Tuesday?
Like I said, all my days kind of run together. I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain it was Tuesday.
Okay. Do you remember what you were watching on TV?
No, I typically don't turn on my TV until night.
Okay.
Like
That's-
it's too much of a distraction for the girls.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the computers themselves are a distraction for the girls, so
Yeah, I'm actually glad to hear that. Yeah, I have that same
minimize the
approach.
distractions.
Yeah.
Like, we have a TV in our living room. It has not been turned on in probably 8 months.
What I noticed, it's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned it because what I did notice, and I actually remarked, Sheila probably told you because there were 3 of us that showed up at the doorstep and we talked to her briefly. And I was surprised that she was only 16 because she carries herself with a lot of confidence.
Been through a lot of things.
Yeah.
She's had to develop that confidence again.
Yeah. Well, and she
Really-
probably,
She was really broken down to the point where she was going to kill herself.
yeah, well, I'll get back to that point here in a minute, but, so you went out there and kind of walked me through the whole experience that you had with Steven. Is that the very first time you met him?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only
Tell me
time.
about that. Tell me about that night. Tell me about what you guys did and what you discussed and what you did and,
They walked through the grounds. I kind of trailed behind.
Yeah.
We went inside and we discussed about dusting up, cleaning up, getting rid of papers that were years old.
Yeah.
I mean, there was stacks of papers everywhere.
yeah. Did you go through the papers at that time?
We did go through them a little bit, like, yeah, this stuff and it's so old that you don't need to keep it.
Okay, all right. And what else did you look at or go through or help them with or discuss?
Knickknacks, there's rooms of Star Wars. Talked about his parents.
And so were you in the house mostly
Yes.
that entire time? Did you ever go outside?
I mean, I was outside, like I said, I trailed them behind them.
Okay. And so if I'm understanding it correctly, so your role was to sort of take care of the interior and the inside of the house, clean it up, get it organized. And then Jeremy's role was to what?
Outside, clean up the yard.
Okay. Did you guys, so you said that you're roofing contractors, had you done any roofing work to his house
No.
at that point?
No.
So, okay, so,
And we also, like I said, he does pressure washing, so as roofers,
yeah.
maintaining a roof.
Do you advertise? You guys have advertisements out? How did Steven get
No,
your
he
number to contact
mostly-
you?
Jeremy does mostly word for mouth. Occasionally he'll throw an ad out on Craigslist,
Okay,
but for the most part he does word of mouth.
okay. Was that your understanding of how Steven, because you guys,
Yeah, that's how
because I
I
spoke
would
with
say.
Jeremy too, and he said that he had never met him before that. And so I'm just trying to figure out, was there somebody in common that you both knew?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I mean, it's
Jeremy had
possible.
been the one to set it
We
up.
have another job in Renton.
Okay. Can you tell me what you saw around the house, around inside the house, outside the house? Anything that stood out? Anything that you remember that looked unusual, or was it just kind of cluttered?
Inside the house, it was just kind of cluttered.
Okay. What about the outside?
It's obvious that he had some work done fairly recently.
What do you mean by that?
Bushes were trimmed up. It looked like stumps had been taken down. There was machinery out there.
Okay. Was that machinery that you guys brought, or that was just
No.
already out there?
No,
Okay.
we don't have one of those.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a friend that does.
Okay. And so again, So you only lived here for 2 years, right?
Mhm.
You moved here from Wisconsin?
Yes.
And what city, where did you live in Wisconsin?
Osseo.
Okay, and how long had you lived in Wisconsin?
My whole life.
Your whole life? Okay.
Yeah. My mom moved me away for like a year, but then I had my son and moved back.
Okay. How did you meet Jeremy?
When I was 14, he was walking by my friend's house and we yelled out the door at him because
Yeah.
he was cute and we were 14-year-old girls.
Okay. And so he's from Wisconsin then too?
Yes.
Okay. And so he's only lived out here for 2 years as well?
No.
How long has he
No,
lived
he
here?
moved out here in 99.
Okay. And what brought you out here from Wisconsin 2 years ago?
My daughter's father raped her.
Sheila's father? Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Both my partner and I actually were a special assault unit, like crimes against children for years. And so I sympathize. That's everything.
She
Yeah.
went through hell.
I'm sorry to hear that. So did you move out here to get away from that?
Away from his family,
Okay.
and once everything hit the papers, kids at her school were really mean.
I'm sorry.
They were horrible. Even after we moved out here, it continued online so much that I took all social media away. And
Isn't it funny how-
slowly gave it back to her after we had
Yeah.
blocked people and
It's funny how I've always said this. I think it's much harder to be a kid now than it was when you and I were
the
kids.
reach is so much longer.
For that exact reason.
I mean, we're halfway across the
The
country.
bullying doesn't
and
stop
they
at
were-
the end of the school day. It continues
and the
all
thing
day
is
and all
that
night.
These are people who were supposed to be her friends.
Yeah.
And they weren't directly being mean to her, but they were like, oh, so-and-so said this in class today.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, if they're your friend, they wouldn't even say that. They
Right.
would stick up for you.
Yeah. So, kind of getting back to Tuesday night. So you guys were there. Did you see any construction work being done around the house anywhere? Did you see any?
Construction work?
Yeah. Any renovation, like any pools being dug, anything that patio being laid out, anything like that? Nothing.
I
So,
don't think so.
okay. No holes dug up anywhere that you saw.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So just kind of junk in the yard. It's kind of a large property, isn't it?
It is.
Did you guys walk the entire length of the property or
No,
through it?
no,
Okay.
just like around the house.
Okay.
And my understanding is just outside of the property.
Mhm.
I think it's like cliffs or something that goes down.
All right. Did you see anybody else on the property?
No.
And I asked you this when we spoke Friday, but I just want to clarify. So there was nobody else that you saw on the property. Did you?
As far as I know, he was a single guy.
Okay. Did Stephen talk about having any visitors over or that people were going to be coming over anytime soon? Did he? Or
Like I
was
said,
your understanding was that he just lived alone? Just
Yeah, from my
Okay.
understanding, I mean, honestly, from being in the house, it looked like
Yeah.
there was no female touch.
right. Okay.
I'm just saying,
Fair
it
enough.
looked like a single guy, and just from talking to him, it looked like almost a shrine.
Start dress.
His parents.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hmm.
All right. And so Jeremy and you both were there when he was kind of explaining his life story that he just lived alone.
He didn't really explain his life story to me. You know, there was just like little comments here and there and just observation.
Okay. But it was pretty easy to kind of look at this gentleman's life and say, okay, this guy lives alone. He's kind of by himself. And
And it was kind of sad.
yeah. Okay.
I think everybody should have somebody.
Yeah. Some people prefer to be alone too.
Well, I prefer to be alone, but
Sometimes.
I still have somebody.
Yeah. No, I understand. So you guys were there until around 10ish or 9:30ish, 10. And then when you left, did you leave together?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So at that point when you guys left, and you told me Friday when we talked that you don't handle the financial stuff, you said that Jeremy handles all the The
Yeah,
transactions,
I'm
the
supposed
credit
to
card
be-
charges and all
I'm
that.
supposed to be getting into that, but the thing about Jeremy with the business is that he doesn't give up control very easily.
Okay.
Like, I even had a discussion with him because I went out with him, did another bid with him. Like, I literally watched him measure the roof. We went back. He made up the list. He started up the contract, and I'm like, I'm sitting right here. You can explain things. You can talk about it.
Yeah.
Tell me how to do it.
You mentioned contract. Was there a contract drawn up for Stephen Morvis's
I would assume.
property? Did you see anything done? Did you see Stephen sign a contract or anything, or? You
No.
didn't see it?
No,
Do you know if there was one?
I would assume because he does a contract with everything.
Okay. Would you have been away from Jeremy and Stephen when that was being done?
It's possible.
Okay, because you never saw that being taken care of.
No,
that
at
way.
some point, it's possible that I went back out to the truck, and usually if I have any kind of free time, my nose is in my book.
Okay. Then you said that, and what book is that?
My
Is that,
school book.
Art of the Deal by Donald Trump, or was it?
No, my school book,
Gotcha.
I get my books online, and then they're provided, like the chapters are provided by the school, and then I print them off and put them in a binder.
Okay.
So then I can highlight, write.
So Lorraine, from what I'm understanding, your interaction with Stephen was kind of minimal. Jeremy's was a lot more in depth. You just kind of looked inside the house, you walked around the property, and you went back into the vehicle. Is that what I'm understanding? Okay, all right. So any contract that would have been drawn up would have been away from you. You didn't see it or didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Okay. When I spoke with Jeremy, he said that he talked to you later on afterwards about how much there was the agreement that was going to be
And he
made.
could have.
Okay.
I
Do you
do
remember how
know.
much that-
I do know that there was like some payments that were scheduled, and I know that he was ordering a dumpster that he did, and it was supposed to be delivered. And outside of that,
Okay.
sometimes when he talks about it, just
One year out the other, I get it.
because I'm
Do you
supposed
remember
to
how
take
much
over,
he
like-
said that? Did he say how much this job was going to pay you guys? Do you hear anything about that?
I remember him mentioning something about it. I don't remember if it was 14 or 22 or something like that.
Okay.
Like I said, we have several jobs going on
Yeah.
right now. We just buttoned up one yesterday. We're supposed to be starting another one, plus we have another one that's in progress.
How long has he had this business?
Off and on, I think 5 or so years, but we've been really focusing on it since the beginning of summer.
Okay. And you and him are married?
Yes,
Okay. When did you guys get married?
October 6th last year.
Okay. So you guys came home. So you're home during the day. During the day, what does Jeremy do?
He roofs, he does whatever Jeremy does.
Okay. Do you know where he is?
He
or you know
brings
what-
home the money. No,
Okay.
I don't keep tabs on him.
There's no list of jobs that he goes to or anything that you know about, or
We'll talk about it. If I'm gonna be meeting him out at a job, he'll like message me the address.
yeah. Okay. When you go out to do a job, what are your duties? What do you do? Do you help roof? Do you
I
help?
do.
Okay.
I've even roofed a whole roof myself.
Yeah.
I will never do it again.
You learned I like
I
it.
actually I used to roof. I like
Well,
roofing.
Jeremy went to jail, and I needed him home, and one of the roofs had been started, so me, Sheila, and her boyfriend went out there and did it.
Okay. And what's Sheila's boyfriend's name?
Thomas
What's his last name?
Ball.
You know his date of birth or how old he is about?
He's 17. I don't know his date of birth.
Okay. What's his story? Is he going to school? Is he?
Yeah, he goes to Lincoln.
Okay. All right.
That's how they met.
Okay. So Lorena, how many cars do you guys have?
We own 2, and then part of his business license is that we can pick up vehicles off the side of the road that have been tagged.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we have 2 of those.
You have 2 vehicles that were picked up from the
Yeah.
kind of tagged, abandoned?
Yeah.
And what vehicles are those?
There's a red one and like a blue one. I think it's blue. I know the one that's on the dolly, we just sent out the paperwork to the owners and the financer, and I think the dealership, because when we ran everything, it was on lease.
Good. What does Jeremy do with those cars? Do you just scrap them or?
No, what we do is, these are really the first 2 that we've done, I think.
Okay.
Um,
When did you guys do those?
The red one, I think, was sometime last week, and the other one was the other night.
The other night. Okay. Do you know what kind of where's that red car at right now?
Sitting up front.
Okay. And
Oh, we do have another car. Curtis's car is sitting there.
Curtis.
And I know you guys asked about Curtis. And I was like, why would they be asking about Curtis? And then I realized, oh, wait, all the boxes outside with Curtis's name on it.
We're detectives.
Curtis is Jeremy's oldest stepson.
Okay.
He is stationed in Texas.
All right.
And he just got married, and he asked us to pick up all his stuff from his grandma, take it over to his now wife's parents' house,
Mhm.
so the Army can just pick up everything at once.
Okay. All right. So this red and blue car are both at your house right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And these were just vehicles that were just tagged abandoned?
Yep.
Were they still operable?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I really I don't know. After the waiting period, I think we have to wait 10 days after we send out the letters.
Yeah.
And then after those 10 days, if they're not claimed, we can do whatever we want with them.
Okay. All right.
I know Curtis's car, we plan on fixing up and giving it to Sheila.
Okay. So besides last week, which was probably Tuesday, you said that when you went over to Stephen Morphus's house, have you ever been back over to his house since then? No. Just the one night?
Yeah.
What about Jeremy?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did he make any comment about going back over there to finish the assessment and doing any other work? Or when Jeremy goes out to a job, does he take anybody else with him? Does he have any employees?
Sometimes.
Do you know their names?
Sometimes Thomas works with them.
Okay. And who else?
I don't know. He has a couple of friends.
Thomas has a couple of friends?
No.
Oh, Jeremy
does. He has a
Okay.
couple of friends that.
What are their names?
You know, Louis used to work with him. Who's that other guy? Dennis. And then who's the other guy? I can't think of who the other guy is. He does tattooing.
Are these friends from around like just Tacoma area?
No, they're from all over.
All over the place?
Most of them, I think, are in Auburn.
Okay, all right. Do you remember?
Kent.
Okay, all right, we'll come back to that. So when I called you Friday, and I told you what this was about, do you remember what your reaction was?
It was sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know, have you and Jeremy talked about this since?
Not really.
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I expressed that it was sad.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
What's your
I wanted to
understanding?
see-
What is your understanding of this investigation?
my understanding is that he died. Homicide means that someone else did it. And I'm assuming you guys are talking to us because of a money trail and that we've been out there.
There's been some other information that's come up, okay, specifically regarding Jeremy in relation to this case. Okay, and before I get to that, Lorena, I want to ask you something. And just because when it comes down to this, in your life, it's you and your daughter. You and your daughter come from everything. Okay. How well do you know Jeremy? I mean, really. I mean, you're married to him. It sounds like a shit question. I get that, but how well?
I've
do you
known
know
him since I was 14. We've been best friends, but very distant best friends. I know that he had a whole section in his life that I wasn't part of.
And you said that you know he's been to jail. Do you know what he was in jail for?
Drug offenses, property crimes.
What else do you know?
As far as I know, that's it.
Okay. You know the last time that he has been in trouble?
Well, last time he was in trouble was for, there was a warrant out of Kansas and they searched our house and found my guns.
Okay. And what is you've been in, do you have any felony convictions? Okay.
The only possible felony that I would have had is the bad check.
Okay. And when was that?
About 6-7 months ago.
Was that related to the business?
No.
Okay. So you told me a little bit about the bad check. Tell me just briefly what was the issue with that?
I had taken a job on Craigslist. I was answering phones for a guy. He was doing a fundraiser for Cancer with Kids. Well, kids who have cancer. And I was basically his live answering service. He felt that whoever called because they were donors should never have to talk to an answer machine during business hours.
Okay.
So I worked for him for a couple weeks, got a check, and me and Jeremy were like, yes, we're actually going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So Jeremy was like, well, let's go down to the casino. So we went down there to cash it, play some cards, have dinner. And next thing I know, the tribal police were there asking me questions.
Okay. All right. That was about 6 months ago, you said.
Yeah.
All right. Do you ever, what's your schedule like? Do you see, like me personally, I'm pretty boring. 9 o'clock, I'm in bed.
I am fairly boring.
Are you about the same? You stay home at night? Do you go out at night?
Not very often.
Have you been out at night anytime in the past few weeks? What about Jeremy?
Jeremy does jobs at night. Like, he's got to do, like, sometimes when he does a business, they prefer me to do it at night.
Okay. Like, what do you mean by night? What time are we talking about? What time
Like,
frame?
overnight.
Okay. And when was the last time he did that?
Last night,
Last night? For what business?
pawn shop in Federal Way.
Okay.
Because it's owned by the same lady that we did a bar for that's right next to it.
Mhm.
Took out skylights and closed up those skylights and then torched down.
Okay. What about last week, the past couple of weeks? Let's talk about that. Past couple of weeks. Same thing. Does he go out and do businesses at night or work over the
He
overnight
goes and
hours?
picks up cars at night.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. We honestly don't sleep together.
Okay. Why? Not to be Dr. Phil, but why may I ask? Is that
We just have different schedules.
okay?
We need different types of beds.
So it's not because of any problems you guys
No.
have? Okay, all right. So
I mean,
you
not
said that.
sleeping together creates problems.
Oh, yeah. So you said that there were some cars picked up last week, right?
Mhm.
That he picked up, and that would have been during the overnight hours is when he would have done that.
Typically.
Okay, and so.
Because there's, from what I understand, it's because there's less
Yeah.
traffic, it's
Yeah.
safer.
So one of the things I'm kind of doing is I'm asking questions. Some of them I already know the answer to, and I'm just asking you because I want to just verify some of what I already know. So the one vehicle that he picked up last week, could that have been Thursday night? Does that sound about right?
Maybe.
Okay. And what vehicle was that he came home with?
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. But it could have been last Thursday when he went out. Does anybody go with him to do that? I mean, so I'm just trying to,
Sometimes
So-
Ash goes with him.
so I'm just trying to work this out. So if he leaves your house to go out looking for vehicles to pick up, what is he driving? How does he drive 2 cars? How does he do that?
Oh, we have the dolly.
Okay, you've got a dolly.
Yeah.
All right. So, and where's that dolly at?
Right now it's hooked up to the back of my truck
Okay, all right.
because it's got a car on it.
Okay, all right. So that's what he uses, essentially, to pick up other vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, usually he'll send me a text that says that he's gonna go pick up a car or something.
Okay,
And usually I don't get the text until wee hours of the morning because I'm passed out.
what has Jeremy said about this case, about Stephen? Has he had any reaction at all, or has he talked to you about it?
The only thing that he said was that he was sad. He said that he had told you that we would go out there and help clean up if that's what the sister would like us to do.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if I would
Want to go
really
back
go
out
to
there?
them.
Yeah, yeah. When I first asked you that, you said he didn't say a whole lot about it.
No, it's just
Did you think that's kind of unusual, or is that just Jeremy?
that's just Jeremy.
Okay, all right.
Jeremy and feelings don't really go together.
Okay. So I had asked you, Lorena, how well, and that's like I said, that's it sounds like a shit question, but bear with me for a minute. Just let me just hear me out for a minute. So my partner and I, we work with major crimes. That's what we do. We don't care about the dope shit. We're not dope cops. We come into a lot of people's lives for very adverse reasons, and we're kind of like biographers in a sense, to be honest. I refer to my job as being an armed journalist. I go to a story, I report on it, I learn facts, I learn details. I mean, we could write a book about people that we talk to just as well as Bob Woodward could do it, okay? Because we really get to know the intimate details about people. And more than a few times, we encounter people that when we tell loved ones what it is that we're investigating and what we know about their loved ones that they don't, sometimes people have completely compartmentalized sections of their life that they don't let a lot of other people know about. And so I'd asked you, you said that you knew he'd been in trouble before. About how many times do you think? And what's your estimate or understanding of that?
Been to prison maybe 5 times.
That was for?
Drugs mostly. Property crime.
So aside just from the warrant that he had, you said that there was an issue with his child or something like that that happened recently.
No, that was in Kansas.
Okay.
That he had a warrant. And then
So is that, as far as you know, is that everything that's happened to him this year?
Well, he's wrapped up in my check thing.
Okay. But even aside from that,
The Kansas, the guns in my check thing. Yeah, that's all I know of.
okay, well, there's a lot more just from this year alone. And
Really.
then when I go over the period of going back as far as he was a juvenile,
Well, I know he's had a checker past.
that's putting it mildly. In fact, I was pretty taken aback at some of the things that I came up with. Did you know that he was shot once?
That's the property crime.
Yeah, that was a burglary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've read all the paperwork, all the police reports.
Okay.
I've read the lawyer assessments.
Would it surprise you to know that he's been violent in the past?
A little bit.
Okay.
I don't see him being
I'm not
a
making
violent
this up.
person.
So
I know drugs can make someone do stuff.
you're right about that. And let me ask you about that, since you brought it up. Is he using again?
I don't know.
Do you suspect that he is?
Sometimes.
And remember my brother I told you about? Okay. Part of that whole pathology is there's drug use, and then there's bad choices. And then there's things that people get caught up in. And my brother told me, because he was an addict, he told me once when we were intervening and trying to get him clean, he said, you know what? He said, try not eating for a week. That's the craving. That's that insanity you feel when you're on drugs, or when you're starving. You know, in that case, using that example, you're not thinking. You're doing a lot of things that you don't even know yourself. Okay. Getting back to this, we've got information that links Jeremy to this homicide.
Really?
This isn't an act. This isn't a game.
I just.
We've been, you know what? So as a courtesy to you, as a courtesy to your kids, we've been on your house since 2 a.m. Okay? We had a tactical team there. We purposely didn't knock the door or put flashbangs in because we knew your kids were in there. And we didn't want to scare the shit out of them. I know. Every question I ask you, Lorena, again, I have 3 answers ahead of you. And in fact, I know part of Sheila's history because we pulled reports. We read a lot about what she's been through. And so the one thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to scare the shit out of her. We don't want to put her through something traumatic again. And that's why we chose.
Making real progress.
That's why we chose this approach. And you know what, Lorena, when it comes down to it, it's you and her. You and Jeremy have only been married a year. I'm not minimizing marriage. I'm not minimizing your marriage. But what I'm saying is that you and Sheila are in it for the long haul. You've been in it for the long haul. Nothing's going to come between you and her.
Maybe girl.
And I'm certainly not going to be the one that wants to do that. And I'm not going to. That's why I'm saying we had a discussion. There are a lot of people focused on this. We've had meetings with prosecutors. We worked all weekend on this. And so there's a lot that went into this morning. Okay. And the one thing that we decided to not do is we did not want to traumatize your daughter. Okay. We didn't want to put her through. It's a shit show to have I was on a SWAT team for 10 years. He was in the military.
When they came out to the house last time, the girls were anxiety
right
all over.
And I know that. And so I'm sure you can appreciate our approach this morning as opposed to coming in with flashbangs and dogs and all that. We didn't want to do that this morning.
I do appreciate that because her anxiety she's on medication for it, but something big would really.
But what brought us here, what brings us here to your doorstep in the first place is Jeremy. We're not psychic. Okay? I didn't pull his name. I've never met you or him prior to today. I never spoke to either one of you prior to Friday. Okay? But crime, it's a hard thing to get away with. Murder these days. Okay? Unless you're a gangbanger, unless you're kind of, you go out, it's hard to do because there's records of everything, there's trace evidence of things, there's DNA, there's a lot of things that get left behind. And we are here, what brought us here is Jeremy. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that. And I know he probably without even being conscious of this brought you into this too. And this is the time now where with you, because you asked if you were being booked into the jail. A lot of it depends on how this goes. A lot of it depends on how, when we convene with other detectives in my cohorts, a lot of that depends on what they have to say. But as it goes back to things, remember Sheila?
Yeah.
You and her have been in this since the long haul. And there's nothing, the only thing that can prevent that from continuing would be you trying to cover for him, or him trying to cover his own ass and dragging you into this. So this is the time where we wipe the slate clean and we have a conversation. This is because, hang on, Lorena, this is the most important.
Pivotal moment
This is the most important
In your
conversation in your life right now.
right now.
Because this isn't an act. I'm not Ashton Kutcher. I'm not here to defend you. This is,
I feel really bad.
And the things that led us to Jeremy, unfortunately, also lead us to you.
But we're married.
Okay. Well, I understand that. And Lorena, we understand that there's differences between a witness and an associate or a partner in a crime. Okay. What we're trying to figure out is which one are you? And this is a pivotal moment because,
I don't know anything.
see, Lorena, we know that's false. We've been working on this nonstop
How am I supposed to know
for over a
anything?
week, and we know that that is false. So you need to take a deep breath and you need to think about your daughter and the rest of your guys' lives together and decide what's your priority and make the right decision.
Are you
about
guys
being
trying to
truthful.
charge me with something?
We don't know yet.
our prosecutor is here. He's in the building.
Yeah. And your name's on the warrant, right next to Jeremy's. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you did it. Matter of fact, I know you didn't do it. But you know what? I know you were there.
I was out at the house.
Yeah, I know that. When it happened. And I know you know about it.
I wasn't out there. I'm gonna tell you guys.
The truth.
I think you guys are trying to trap me into something.
I'm not trying to trap you in anything. Here's the thing, because I can't put it to you any more plainly. We know he did this. We know he did it. Okay? He knows he did it, and we're having that discussion now. Okay? Where you come into is the fact that, as he said, there's a witness, there's an unwitting witness, then there's accomplice, then there's an associate, and then there's co-defendant. Okay. I'm not here to play games with you. I'm not here to be a jackass. I don't raise my voice to people. This is me. And I guess the reason for that is because, not to sound cold, I go home at 5 o'clock whether or not you're sitting in a jail cell or whether you're back at your house.
Well, obvious.
Okay? This isn't I have no personal dog in this fight. Okay? But what I'm trying to do at this point is, I guess I'm just trying to remind you more than anything that you have a life. Your daughter has a life, and your daughter needs you. Sheila's not named on the warrant. You are, and he is. And that's why you guys are here. And so it comes down to this. It comes down to, and again, I'm sorry to be the one to put it to you this way. Who's more important? This asshole that you've only been married to for a year that you don't apparently know a whole lot about, that he's kept a lot of things from you and a lot of secrets, and you don't know where he's at during the night? Would it surprise you if I told you that he was actually out doing other burglaries, that he's a suspect in other cases while he's been out at night? Would that surprise you? You said you suspect he's doing drugs. That's probably what explains all of this, to be honest. All that aside, and having said that, then there's Sheila. And she needs you. And if I can make it work, or I can put you and her back in each other's lives and steer you away from this period in your life, I'm all for it. But you have to be the one to make that decision. You're the one that's driving this bus right now. That's the goddamn truth, and I can't put it to you any other way.
Honestly, I suspect
That he did this?
that he could be involved somehow.
Why do you say that? Tell me what makes you think that. So when I called you
Gut
Friday,
feeling.
and I told you what was going on, and I introduced myself to you, and I told you what I was investigating, obviously those gears were turning, right? Why?
I had a message that he said that he got a house.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
I don't know what it means. I know we've been looking for a house because we have to move.
Okay.
When you go to my house, you'll see that we already have boxes packed.
When did he send that message to you?
Wednesday night, maybe?
And when he said he's got a house, did he talk about Stephen's house?
No.
So what did that mean? I guess, what did that mean to you? If my wife sends me a text and says, hey, I got a house, that may seem unusual for me, but it doesn't sound, so what do you mean?
We've been looking at houses, so to me, it would assume that he had talked to someone and worked out a deal that we got a house.
Okay.
Because we were also talking with one of the guys that we're doing roofing for. He has a vacant property.
And how does that come into Stephen's place?
Well, no, that's one of the things that we're looking at.
A lot of
A
property,
house.
a lot of place to put things and for the business.
No, I want a lot of property because I lived out in the country. I hate being in the city. I absolutely hate it. I'm miserable in the city. There's too many people. I hate it.
Okay. And so he sent you this message Wednesday,
I think so.
around what time?
I don't know. Wednesday night. I think I was getting ready for bed.
Do you still have that on your phone, that message?
Possibly.
Or do you delete messages that he sends you?
Not really.
Do you ever delete any messages on your phone?
Not really.
No. What about Jeremy? You ever look at his phone?
No.
Has he shown up with other? Did he get a new phone recently? You noticed?
Yeah, he bought us both new phones.
When was that?
A week or so ago?
Okay. You got a new phone as well? Okay. Where did he? You said they're new. What do you mean? Were they in a box or?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, in light of having talked to me on Friday, and then you got a message from him Wednesday night. By then, were you already? You said that the gears started turning pretty quickly after I had a conversation with you, or did it kind of take time to kind of set it?
I think maybe it took a little bit of time. My head was spinning that you would even contact me. I wasn't understanding. I mean, I understood why because, yes, I was out there.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, you're following a paper trail to business. It's like I was out there. My fingerprints are on things.
So you don't handle anything with the finances. You didn't handle any credit cards.
No.
Did you know? Were you aware that did Stephen give his credit card number to Jeremy, or did he give his actual credit card, or do you know?
I'm not sure. I know Jeremy has like this little device that plugs into his phone or Bluetooth or something with an app that he can take credit cards.
Okay, all right. So what else came up, Lorena, that got you thinking that he may be involved in this?
Suddenly, we didn't have a house.
What do you mean?
Like, the house was off the table.
How do you know that? Explain that to me.
Like, he said it was going to be like another month before we moved.
Okay, did he say where you're gonna move? Did he give you any idea where it was gonna be, or what city, or town, or
Maple Valley.
Maple Valley? Okay. What else? What else came up? What else got you thinking about this?
That, you know, he is, I don't know what he does at night. As far as I know, he's out in his shop. But I'm asleep.
Shop in your yard? Okay. But you said that he goes out and collects cars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a message, sometimes I don't.
So Friday when I called you later on that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through your day Friday. What happened from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to bed? Where was Jeremy when
Don't
you woke
remember. Out in the shop. Wait, no, Friday?
Yeah.
I don't remember if that's the night that he slept in the bed or not, Thursday night. I don't remember. I know there was a night that he actually came to bed. But I don't remember my morning. I know that we got up, we were up on the roof.
What time?
I think we were up there 9, 10 o'clock.
9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, because, well, I came out later. I came out there after lunch because Brianna had some school stuff to do. Because I finally got her enrolled. So she was going through orientation and stuff. And I had told her that if she hurried up and got through her orientation, I would take her to lunch. Just the two of us.
Okay.
So Jeremy came home on his lunch break. And then he left again. And I took Bree to McDonald's, got a couple sandwiches, and then went out to that place so that we could clean up the ground.
What place? What place are we talking about?
Over on Hosmer.
On Hosmer in Tacoma?
Yeah.
Okay. And who did you go out there with?
It was me, Bree, Jeremy, and Jeremy had one of his friends out there, but his friend left when I got there.
What's his friend's name?
Elliot.
You won't tell you his last name.
I don't know.
Anything seem unusual about Jeremy that day? Friday? What?
Friday?
Yeah, something seemed kind of out of sorts with him a little bit.
No.
No. Any injuries or like that? Anything he complained about?
No.
No. Okay. Remember what he was wearing?
Jeans and a t-shirt.
Okay.
Maybe a blue t-shirt.
All right. But nothing else you remember? Didn't have any complaints, injuries, nothing?
We cleaned up the ground. He was doing tear off and laying paper and getting it all buttoned up for the night.
Okay. When he goes out on a job, I've heard that he kind of has a bag with him sometimes. Does he have any kind of bag or
He's obsessed with backpacks.
backpack? Okay. What kind of backpack does he
I
have?
don't know, we have several backpacks.
Oh, okay. Which one does he take these out on jobs with him?
Sometimes.
What's in the backpack?
Tools, snacks, gloves.
Where is backpacks at? Are they in your guys' bedroom or?
There's some in my bedroom, there's some out in his shop.
All right. You say the shop, is that the trailer that's in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a camera in there, right?
And then,
Yeah, there's not. You guys have cameras in your house?
Yeah, but they're not working right now.
They don't work. When did they stop working?
When our electricity got shut off
Which was when?
a week or so ago,
Why did the electricity get shut off?
because we couldn't pay the bill.
Okay.
We had set up a payment plan and missed the payment.
Okay. So this business isn't
So
doing real well, then, right?
not as well as I would hope.
Um,
I'm not really sure where all the money goes.
Well, Raina, let me just kind of help kind of remind you of things that you probably already well aware of due to TV and movies and stuff. But you know that there's cell phones. Everybody has cell phones, cell phone towers, GPS, all that stuff. You know, there's cameras everywhere. Everybody's got cameras. Okay, you understand that, right? I mean, it's 2018. You know, there's fingerprints, DNA, all sorts of different type of forensic evidence and stuff. We're doing all of those things, okay? And like Detective Free said, you know, we're 3 answers ahead of you, okay? And we know a lot. We know a lot. And some of these questions we're asking you, we already know the answers, and we just want to see, you know, is she being honest with us, you know? And we've been through a couple of interview classes in our years of experience here, okay? And we know how to read body language and how people answer things. And you know what? You're not a sociopath serial killer who has no emotion. You're not. You have emotion, and I can see it very clearly.
I'm overly emotional.
When you answer your questions, when you answer a basic question where there's no reason to lie or to not tell the full truth or something like that, your answer is very crisp and clean, and I can tell. And then when you answer some questions, I can tell that maybe it's not being truthful, or you're just not telling the full answer, and you're physically shaking right now. Okay.
Cold and nervous.
Now I can understand you're probably cold, okay, because you know, just like my wife and all,
I'm very cold.
Everybody's all the females in my life are always cold. Okay, this is a stressful environment. We're talking about some really serious things. I can take that into account, but your body is visibly shaking, and you can hear it in your voice. Okay, you're nervous. Okay,
and just to add on that, Lorena, real quick. So I know that if my wife was sitting in your seat right now across from 2 detectives and was just told, we believe your husband committed murder, she'd be on the floor. And you don't see that
I've been through
surprised.
something where I had the shock of my life.
Well,
I was told that the man that I thought I knew raped our daughter.
I understand. That's
So I know
bigger.
that
That affects you more.
cannot-
Right.
yeah.
I know that you cannot fully
Yeah.
know a person. My father, who I knew my whole life, molested my boys.
And that definitely affects you much more personally than this, and I get that. I understand that. Okay.
Those,
guess the
those
point
were
of
my
what-
kids.
Right. The point of what I'm trying to say, Lorena, is that the thing is, you don't seem surprised. I mean,
I told you I had a suspicion. I
And
was thinking about it.
so here's the thing. Here's what we're talking about right now, because I guess there are a couple of ways to do this at this point. Okay, and you haven't been, you certainly haven't been convicted of murder. Okay, and at this point, you haven't even been charged with it yet, but you are listed as a suspect in a murder investigation. And notwithstanding what your children have been through, okay, I can say for me personally, that would be by all the highlight for me. That would be the headline of the lowest point in my life. Would be told that I'm a suspect in a murder case. Okay. This is
Trust me, I'm
no,
freaking out.
no. So at this point, because you are out in the water, okay, and I'm up on the boat and I've got the life preserver, I'm throwing it to you right now. But if you're going to take that, we need to get everything out in the open right now. And we need to get you separate from this so you can live your life with Sheila okay? I'm just gonna say it. I don't know you, I'm not speaking for you, but I think the fact that your husband dragged you into a murder case is probably, you guys are probably done. That's gonna be your choice to make. But I goddamn well tell you that if it was me and it was my kid, I'm choosing my child. Without a doubt. But this
I'll always
depends on you.
choose her.
I know that. I know you would. But,
I'm already
We come
trying
back
to
to this
plan
moment.
my strategy.
well, we're coming back to this moment right now that even, by all means, first of all, whatever you know about this, we need to know. And secondly, even if there's things that unwittingly you know about, or we're part of, or we're asked to do, or asked to help out with, then we need to know about that as well. Because for you to sit here and say, oh, I don't know, I suspected, but I don't know, it doesn't match up to what we already know.
And the longer that goes on, the worse it looks for you as we continue to move forward. Because if we keep kind of catching you in these little hiccups and stuff, it's going to be really more difficult for Detective Frey and I to start really believing what you're saying. And then down the road when we're talking about prosecutors, judges, and juries, because we maybe played this game a little too long when we really didn't need to. And that complicates things. I always tell people, don't complicate it. Don't complicate it at the beginning because it makes it harder down the road for everybody, not just us, but for you. Because if you're just this unwitting witness or a witness, and you're kind of in this little panic mode. I don't know what to do. I'm going to tell half a truth. I'm not going to tell the full story. And then it slowly comes out. It is hard for everybody involved down the road to say that you're being honest about what you're saying, because we have this pattern that we had to work out too.
Lorena, the other part of this is to, at some point, you need to sit down and have a conversation with Sheila about what's going on with her stepdad, right?
I do.
Now, whether or not that takes
I'm already
place,
trying to.
whether or not that, listen to me, whether or not that takes place in your living room or during visiting time at the jail, depends on you right now. This is the most important conversation of your life right now, because it depends not just it, because it doesn't just dictate what happens to you at this point, it dictates what happens to her. There's nobody at your house right now, is there? Just her and Brianna?
No, Ash and Sissy are there. They woke me up at like 3 a.m.
My point is, she doesn't have any parents there.
She doesn't have anyone here.
You got it.
And she can't go to her dad's without it.
You just said it. You just said it better than I could. She doesn't have anybody else here. Jeremy brought you into this.
He made a comment the other day about dragging me into something. Something about he wasn't going to go down by himself. And I didn't know what that meant.
Seems like a pretty obvious thing to ask a follow-up question about.
I tried to. But he just laughed it off. Actually, when you guys came is when I was trying to ask him what he meant by that.
So he said he was dragging you into this?
That he brought me into something unknowingly to me.
What do you mean? Say that again.
That he brought me into something unknowingly to me.
That you didn't know about, but that he brought you into.
Yeah.
Did you say it was this case? Did you say it had something to do with him getting a phone call from the detective the other day?
No.
What did he tell you this?
I think it might have been yesterday.
So here's the thing, because you're doing it right now. So 20 minutes ago, you told us, no, that's everything.
Getting there.
You're getting there,
Yeah.
but you're still holding back.
Hold back. It's killing you too.
This isn't you. This isn't your life. This does not have to be you right now. This does not have to be you.
In my head, I'm still trying to connect dots.
You need to take a break.
It was just something that he said to me that didn't sit right. And I was trying to get alone time with him to talk to him because I don't like to talk about things around the kids. And it was just something that was on my mind. And it was when we were finishing up on the job site. Wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. Because I didn't go with him yesterday. So it was the day before. We had just finished up for the day, and he made a comment by the truck when we were loading up. He made a comment about something about dragging me in, or it was something along those lines. And it just didn't sit right with me. And I've been thinking about it and thinking about it. And this morning I was like, hey, do you want to take an early morning walk and go look at that roof? So that I could get him away from the house and talk to him. And then you guys showed up.
Have you already talked to him yet?
I had started to. And that's when he was just like laughing it off, telling me not to worry about it.
I'm going to talk to you for a minute. Can we take a break?
You want to take a break? Take a break. Okay?
Your coffee's getting cold.
Let your head kind of.
I'm going to talk to my partner for a minute outside. We're going to check something real quick, okay? And this